Hey, with Graham Birch, filmmaker from the UK, An Advert for One Night is the short film. I was reading your bio and it said that you've been writing and directing since 2020, the COVID era, and you've directed three features and five shorts since then. So you never made a film until 2020?
Correct. Yep. Yep. So my one of a close friend of mine asked me about well, asked me about filming, and I sort of said it was something that I'd always wanted to do. And I came across a study in the UK that highlighted that women's mental health is in a particularly bad way at the moment. And yeah, I decided to make a film, a horror film about women's mental health. And it kind of snowballed from there. And I've done a World War II film, a Gen Z film that looks at post-abduction mental health. And I've done several shorts, one about Alzheimer's and one about bipolar depression. And then this latest one, which looks at abuse in a relationship and also historic abuse and how it can affect people.
So, okay, so where were you at before 2020? Were you a writer? Were you doing anything creative? I'm just curious where your spot. Like,
No, I
assume that you're not 21. Like, you're not. You don't have to say your age, but you're not 21. So,
I'm not 21,
okay,
no. So I did genetics at university, and I'm in the science world. I've worked for pharmaceutical companies, and I'm currently working in sort of clinical trials. So, yep, this is the films, the creative stuff. I mean, I've always been able to write, but it was more about I see that there are some problems in society, and I wanted to make films to potentially, well, entertain first and
yeah,
foremost, but also to highlight some messaging as well.
nothing the drug companies can solve. I'm assuming.
No, definitely not.
So I don't mean to make light of it. Just yeah, there's no super pill for happiness.
Well,
There's
there's
some.
things
Yeah.
doing, but
Not temporary. There's some temporary pills for happiness, and that's subjective as it is. But there's no like, okay, you're going to be content after you take this pill, kind of thing, right? So
yeah,
no, that's not happening in the clinical trials you're working on.
none of the ones that
All
I'm
right.
looking at.
Okay.
Definitely.
So that's a fascinating story that you started doing this, and then like, so what was your experience behind the camera? You just kind of like learned everything on the fly. Like, trial and error?
Yeah, just tr trial and error, and also surrounding myself with good people.
Yeah, that's the key.
That's yeah, good people. A director should really just be someone that has a vision and then has very wonderful people around him to or her, him or her to guide and to deliver basically. So, very much it's you're there to make sure that everything is going in the right direction. But the expertise have the people that are experts in that particular area.
So let's talk about An Advert for One Night. Did you write the screenplay as well?
I did, yes.
Okay. So
Yeah,
set in one location,
yeah,
very intimate in terms of the things they're talking about, but also like physically as well, like for the performers. I'm just curious about like the film itself. Like it's where are we? What age are we in? Because there's like a newspaper ad. Like where are we exactly?
so it's modern day,
Okay. So people still
right?
read papers in 2024?
That's kind of a part of the story, and obviously it's
Yeah.
something that
I'm
hopefully,
sorry. I'm just yeah, I'm totally kidding. Go ahead. Go ahead.
well, in the future, I'm hoping to actually make a longer version of this
Yeah.
because it's short. But the idea is that people have been burnt online, so they've gone back and they try to use old-fashioned newspaper
Yeah.
rather than going on Tinder or anything like this. Which I mean, as you can see from the person that walks through the door, I mean, it's a quite successful situation.
No, I totally agree. If only newspapers come back with there's actual nuance and like journalistic storytelling. And I'm not saying it was perfect. I'm just saying that it was, it was probably a little bit better subjectively speaking. So that's why I'm kidding around.
Yeah, no, it's good, and I'm the same. I mean, times move on, but and people sit on their phones now at the I just held up my phone, which you couldn't see,
Yeah. Well, we all have one, right? Yeah. Yeah.
but people used to sit and read the paper when they were having breakfast and the like, and I kind of liked that. But no, this was more of a kind of a deep. This character had been through such a strong ordeal that it actually shaped how she looked for relationships,
Yeah.
and she didn't want anything online. She didn't want people knowing what she was doing. And of course, the person that came didn't want anything online because her husband was so tracking all of her moves, checking her phone, checking
Yeah.
everything. So, it was kind of it was quite an important little nuance for me.
So yeah, 100%. So basically, it's sort of like, does this take place though? Does this actually exist where like people kind of get off the spectrum of the phone and they kind of do the things like this? This is happening?
Yeah, in the UK, we still have personal ads, and
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, we have local papers that people still print, would you believe, and publish, and they have classified sections.
That's amazing. So it's one location. So from a logistical standpoint, you're good because you have two actors and then you have the one location. So I'm not saying it's easy to film, but it's an easier process.
That was the idea. We filmed it relatively quickly. The idea was that I wanted to make the film incredibly aesthetically pleasing, in terms of sort of lighting and what the cast, what the talent were going to wear in terms of outfits. And I think we achieved that. And I think the fact that it was in one location didn't distract kind of from the main storytelling as well. So yeah, it was certainly interesting and fun to film.
So the two performers key to your film in many ways because there's a lot of vulnerability happening, a lot of dialogue. They have to pull off the plot points, they have to pull out the emotion. So where did you find them?
Yeah, so we've had people apply for various films over the years and built up uh, kind of a uh, kind of a backlog of very talented people that we wanted to work with that maybe weren't right for the particular project that we were casting. And one of the actors was from that side, and the other one was someone that I've worked with quite a lot and trust, and she's quite extremely talented. Well, they're both very, very talented,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah, 100%. So did they know each other before filming?
No, no, they did not know each other at all. And I mean, I tend to go on places like Mandy, Star Now. Backstage is a very good one. Run adverts, but in all honesty, the more films you do, the more people that you kind of work with and and trust, and it's very important to have the right people on set. And it's very important to trust, your cast and crew, obviously, because then you know what they're going to deliver. You know that they're capable of, and in fact, both of those, both Valerie and Alina, both went even beyond where I'd seen them perform before. I thought they were superb.
So I like these kind of films where, well, first of all, nice direction because it's the camera still. It's like they're kind of separated in the first half of the film, shooting wise, and then you kind of put them together where like it sort of like shows up the film in a nutshell. Generally speaking, in these kind of films, there's like a power dynamic occurring in a lot of scenes, but it's more about connection, it's more about kind of balance between the two characters. There's no
Yeah,
manipulation, it's more about vulnerability, right?
yeah,
Um, and it's like, and then they kind of like bond
yeah.
before you know, before they consummate their relationship, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah, although I was quite keen to not have any of
Yeah,
that side of it shown. It was about the
sure.
story.
I mean, of course, yeah, but we know what happens, I guess, right? Yeah,
Yeah, you don't need to see it. You
yeah,
was about the vulnerability. It was As you say, there's a real honesty in the whole night from the very beginning. I love what you said about the no manipulation. There was no manipulation, no misunderstanding. It was just almost like they're both going on this adventure
Yeah,
uh, together, and they're understanding it, and they're both displaying honesty and vulnerability. Those were the kind of two key things, and I wanted to keep it focused on that element. I did want to make, as I said, aesthetically, I wanted it very eye-catching, and I think we achieved that. But as you say, we definitely wanted to start off with a bit of a gap, but then bring them together as they trust each other more and more.
yeah. Because when you watch, like, maybe obviously I am a little bit jaded with film watching, but when you're watching films like this, you're thinking like, okay, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? But then no, it's like it's actually connection. It's about connection. So I like it.
Yeah, no, and I'm quite keen on that, and it's a direction that certainly our film company are looking to go forward in, looking at connections and kind of that you mentioned the power dynamic that can be very interesting to see, but here it was really nice to kind of almost that they shared that power dynamic. So but anyway, yeah, very. I I thought we got it quite close and quite right. Admittedly, as I said, it was a challenge, and we tried to keep it to 15 minutes sort of
Yeah.
time as well, which is a challenge. The original piece was sort of when we first edited it was over 20 minutes. So
Okay.
no, it's difficult to get everything in that short space of time.
But you did it. But I think it's exactly 15 minutes, right? The film.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you did this cinematographer, do you work with them? You worked with them in previously?
Yes, very much so. And he's absolutely superb. His name is Ross, and he's done some very big films at the moment. He's got some very interesting stuff coming out. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about it, but he's done some good stuff. Definitely, Ross Yandel's his name. Definitely worth looking into. And he's been around a while, but he's just kind of getting into the more narrative works, the more creative, whereas before he's done the kind of creative adverts and
Sure. Yeah.
worked in the commercial side, whereas now he's really building quite a portfolio.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're doing things to pay the rent and you're doing things for what you love, I guess, right?
Exactly that. Yeah, that's what he's doing. But I mean, he is a phenomenon. And I did another film with him, a Gen Z, and it's going to be stunning when that comes out.
So then, and in terms of their like costumes and their makeup, like kind of like them putting them together is like thematically they're seeing one's wearing black, one's wearing red. How do you like? Did you have to have a costume designer? How do you put that together?
So we have a makeup artist
Yeah.
that did the makeup, um, and then the costumes. I actually had them down. I kind of said roughly what I wanted, and then I had them down to the cast. Valerie had several different options, which she kind of showed me, and I particularly loved that red dress. I thought it looked quite fantastic
Mm.
in kind of the big scene when it was all spread out on the floor when they sat on the floor. That was stunning. But the other one, Alina, actually picked herself, and I thought it was really fitting. I thought it was really cool. The kind of suit. I thought fit the scene beautifully, but that was mostly from her. I kind of gave her some ideas, but she took that, and that's how we like to make films. It's very collaborative. We all work together. That's kind of the idea.
So yeah, there's scenes where like the two both one in the bathroom when she's by herself where she breaks down, and then the other one where like she's holding her and she breaks down. Those are tough scenes, and they're really effective. Like they're real. There's no fake acting going on. How did you like? Did you talk to them? Like, how was that process getting them to that level, getting to them to be at that moment during filming?
Yeah, so we talk. So I talked to them about what I was hoping to achieve. They're both the characters in the film were based on real life people. You know, obviously I'm not going to say who they were, but
Yeah.
they were based on real life people and experiences that they'd had. And so I talked a little bit about that and some ideas. But to be honest, you know, both of both of the leads. I mean, they are superb and they smashed it out the park. We had a couple of different versions, um, and it was kind of tough choosing between them. But no, definitely, you know, credit where credit's due. That was down to the talent. They were superb and they delivered, as I said, you know, better than I could have even hoped for. I thought it went excellently.
So can I ask about the lighting in the bathroom? So
Yeah,
you're smiling already. Uh,
it's because it
the
was so.
so it's red when she comes in and she breaks down, and then it becomes there's some artistic liberty happening. Then it turns purple.
Yes.
Can I ask you about those choices?
Yep, so there were a few light changes that I wanted to do that almost were supposed to make it seem dreamlike or talk about a change in emotion.
Yeah,
Uh, the aesthetics were there for me. I keep saying that word. Please tell me to shut up if I say it too much. The other thing I always get told off for saying on set is beautiful because I'm always wanting things to be very much uh together. But no, it went from red to kind of a purple color to show that obviously when she had a breakdown that was painful and there was a lot of power in that. But
yeah,
then the purple was to be kind of that almost climb down from that stress level down to a more kind of easy way. Originally, I thought I would go from red to green, but actually, the kind of purple climb down was because it was along the same color kind of gradient. Do you know what I mean? A red
yeah.
to a green was very was a big jump, whereas a red to a purple was less kind of intrusive on your mind. But yeah, and you're right. I know people say, "Oh, what's the lighting motivated by?" And I just took a bit of creative liberty there and
Sure.
just thought, "What I want the lights." And there's the bit when she walks in the room and that changes, and then when she looks back, that changes again. The lights. I just want to audience, almost fun is the wrong word, but I want to have something more than just the reactions. I want to add to that kind of emotional feel.
Well, red and blue. I know this from my kids. Red and blue make purple,
Yeah.
and I thought there was more of a merge between the two. I know she was wearing black and red, but it was more of a merge in between the two of them. They're merging together. They're connecting. They're like one. Like not to sound flaky, but sometimes you just become when you connect with somebody, you merge into them. You become one person. That's what I
I,
felt in the bathroom.
I think that would have been brilliant. I wish I could have said that to you first, but
You can say that now. You can steal it from me. It's yours. So
oh, brilliant. No, but it was
yeah,
yeah, no, I mean that is a lovely take on it. And that is what we were trying to achieve was the fact that they were becoming more together. And as you
yeah.
say, yeah, one person like a merge would be fantastic. But yeah, certainly I wanted to create a bit of a more an easier kind of breakdown from that initial high stress scenario.
Gotcha. Well, so what are you working on now? What's next for you?
So, well, we're trying to get some of our films across other films across the line. And actually, I've got a couple of TV pilots that I'm going to be shooting. And I will just shout this out. Actually, I'm doing a breast cancer documentary. So I met a very inspiring woman, and I am running a marathon to raise money for breast cancer. But we're actually doing a documentary around how people always treat sort of oncology in the UK in a certain way, and they don't, particularly around breast cancer, they don't really think about sort of fertility for women, for example, or some
Mhm.
of the mental health aspects around it. So we're doing a hopefully a documentary around that.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. It seems like you had some sort of like spiritual renaissance since COVID, and this is not the first time I've heard this on this podcast. There's been a lot of positivity to COVID in terms of the creativity. So, and you seem to be the one of those people as well. So, I wish you the best of luck in your progress, and I hope to talk to you again when we showcase your next film.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll be back. And just one quick question.
Yep.
How did you know I wasn't really, really young?
What's that?
How did you know I wasn't really, really young when
Because
I
it's your Film Freeway page. I know how old you are because it says on Film Freeway, but that's all it is. You look like you're 26. So
oh thanks, mate. Christmas cards in the post.
totally kidding. Yeah. Yeah. So basically that's the only reason why I knew. There you go. So
Brilliant. Thank
all right.
you.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Yep. Cheers. Oh, are we just going to go or are you recording?